Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and we're back for some more of our Warhammer The Old World High Elf faction focus. We've done Lords and Heroes, we've done the basic line infantry and cavalry, and we're now on to those special units. There's quite a lot of those, so we are breaking it into two parts, the same as we did with the Dark Elves and the Tomb Kings. So, without further ado, let's dive in and see how they played back in the 8th edition to give us an idea of what they might do or how they might play in Warhammer The Old World. First up is what I think is a really cool, unique unit, which is the Lion Chariot. So above average strength, as you'd expect, initiative and leadership, but does have low attacks. You do get the impact attacks, but only on the charge. So equipment-wise, they have great weapons. It's a chariot with a 4+ save that's drawn by 2 war lions. Unit size of 1. They also come with fear, and they're also stubborn. So always steadfast, doesn't apply combat result modifier to break test. So a nice-looking, unique unit that just ordinary chariots. You've got the Tyrannok chariots and you've got these White Lion chariots. Why wouldn't you take the White Lion ones? But still, they were rarely seen on the tabletop during 8th edition. Certainly in my local meta, this is talking about my local area. Other people may have found it different, but certainly in my area, there was a preference for large infantry blocks. And there are also other very good choices in the special category. There's a limit on points. So generally, it's kind of like, if you were going for the higher end list, then you would probably be looking to go for those other units which were either more points efficient and more potent for their points. If you did see one of these on the battlefield, it's because a person really liked the model and wanted to put it on the battlefield, not because it was potentially the best choice for the rule set and points and performance at the time. Still, however, as with most chariots, it's good for flank support against skirmishers. This is a pretty tough chariot with some reasonable output against a skirmishing unit, or a flank charge. If you've got an enemy unit already engaged, you can get that flank charge in for those impact hits and probably break the enemy unit. But still, not a common unit on the battlefield. Next up is the White Lions themselves. So we're starting to get into the more elite infantry units now. Good weapon skill. They come with great weapons. They got heavy armor. They get the Lion Cloak, which is that +2 armor save against non-magical shooting, which means it's quite good because it allows you to get your unit into combat without taking too many casualties from enemy archers. Minimum unit size was 10+ with a full set of command. They do come with Forest Strider, which ignores movement penalties in forests, and they're also stubborn, which is great. It's a very nice, flavorful unit. They say they've got some good missile resistance. However, they're competing against Swordmasters of Hoeth, who also have heavy armor and great weapons, but also an extra attack, extra weapon skill, and deflect shots. So they have missile resistance for the same points cost. So White Lions less common, again, unless you're going for that flavorful. The other thing is Swordmasters were also in the Iron of Blood box, so you tended to find that White Lions, they were there, people did run them, but you tended to find that Swordmasters and Phoenix Guard were a much more common choice. And like when you say, you think that the Swordmasters have that extra weapon skill, extra attack, and can deflect shots and have the heavy armor as well with the great weapons for the same points. This is where, I think, again, when GW is thinking about how these unit works, there's just not enough difference between the two. There's not enough difference on the White Lions in terms of their special rules to make you want to take them with that reduced stat line. So, it's quite clear in terms of Swordmasters were just better performing, and they were also in the starter box, so easy to come by. Next up is the Swordmasters of Hoth. So, Swordmasters of Hoeth, I should say. Right, there you go. You can see them there. Above average weapon skill attacks. They come with great weapon and heavy armor. Unit size minimum was 5+ on these, though you'd never really see them in a 5+ unit. They do get a full command as well. You did get a full command in the Island of Blood box. Special rules wise, the basic ones, but their one is deflect shots, which is a 6+ ward save against non-magical shooting. So not quite as good as the White Lions, but you still do have that ward save if you're getting hit with some nasty shooting, maybe a bolt throw or a stone throw or something like that. So very common unit on the tabletop. They got good performance for the points cost. They're in the Iron of Blood box. You've got 2 attacks per model. You've got weapon skill 6 with always strikes first and an initiative of 5. Makes them incredibly dangerous. They're not the most durable, but you can support them with characters, with spells, magic standard, and they're essentially the Dark Elf Executioner mirrors, but without killing blow, which, killing blow is a really good rule. But deflect shots is not a bad thing. Less situational than killing blow. More situational than killing blow, I should say. But still a good unit. And, when you're wanting to get your unit into combat, the weapon skill initiative and the 2 attacks do really make up for it over and above those of the White Lions that we just looked at. And also, I have to say, the Island of Blood miniatures looked pretty, the Swordmasters look pretty cool. I'd be really interested to see how GW could resculpt these. I think, there's a lot of the high elf units that I think got a lot of potential, the White Lions and so on. Swordmasters, you could do some really cool sculpts with those models. Right, next up, and the last one of the first part of looking at the high elf special units is the Shadow Warriors. Yes, Alith and Nar's Shadow Warriors. So this was a dual kit with the Sisters of Avalon. They're above average weapon skill, ballistic skill, as you can imagine. They come with a hand weapon, a longbow, and light armor. So not the most durable, but they do have those longbows. Unit size 5+, and they can have a full set of command. They've got Hatred Dark Elves. They have Scouts, so they deploy last and anywhere on the board 12 inches away from the enemy, but they cannot charge if they're first on the first turn. Skirmishers as well, so loose formation, free reform, fire on the march, so they're -1 to hit and -1 to hit unit with missile weapons, and they have 0 ranks in close combat. So this isn't a unit you're going to try and get in combat unless it's with other skirmishing troops, but the -1 to hit with missile weapons, that's great. That's a really great ability, coupled with the fact they've got longbows, so they've got this hybrid status of being an archer unit who can also do okay. They do have a 30-inch range longbow, which gives them... they can cause problems for those enemy light skirmishers and war machines. And so with that -1 to hit, they can kind of outshoot in that regard in most cases. But they need at least a unit size of 10 to be effective. 5 just isn't enough from the shooting output. But they are more expensive than Swordmasters and White Lions, so it is a bit of a trade-off of whether you would take these. I think, you saw these on a reasonable amount of occasions in a unit of 10, but you do have a lot of other shooting options, in the roster. We'll come on to the Eagle Claws and the Sisters of Avalon. You've got the High Elf Archers, which are significantly cheaper, that also come with a longbow. Given you don't really want these guys in combat, you're using them for that scout and skirmishing rule. So if you find, if your army had value in that, then you would take them. But again, if you're taking shooting, there's cheaper options with the same bows. If you're going for melee, then there are better options in the special roster. So again, that little bit of a hybrid issue coming in there, but kind of mitigated a little bit by being scouts and skirmishers. So they've got value in doing something if it fits within how you want to play your army. So that brings us to the end of the High Elf Special Units Part 1. There are 4 more High Elf Special Units to come, so tune back in for Part 2. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gave you some flavour of the units, what they did and what they might do in the future. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't know, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to see more content, you hit that subscribe button. It's right below the video. Hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. Massively important for me. So thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Hour. Tune back into the second part of these High Elf special units.